Hi guys, this is the Bangalore podcast, and we are a bunch of guys who are ever curious, and we'd want to get out there and ask stupid questions to smart people. And we want Bangalore to answer. And this podcast is all about that. And if you are curious like us too, and if you're a Bangalorean, this is a good place to be.
They say like architecture is frozen music.
Fuck.
Yeah, so
That's a new thing for my book, for my quote book. Architecture is
frozen music. That's deep if you actually think about it. So imagine the same room that we are in the studio. Like if it had a double height, the entire acoustics would change. Or even if you push this like a little behind.
Right.
So like you can actually, like your design can play with people's mind.
Definitely.
So like that's why you need to focus. You need to design thinking of yourself as an end user in the place.
3, 2, 1. All right, welcome to the Bangalore podcast, Mr. Ethash, Sham. Did I pronounce
nice
it right?
To be here, yeah. Ethash Sham is my full name, but you can call me Ethash.
Okay.
Or Sham as
Okay. So before I introduce you, Sham, why don't you introduce us? Introduce yourself to us.
Okay.
Where did you study and...
I'm a graduate from MS Ramya Institute of Technology.
Okay.
And I'm an architecture student.
Okay.
Right now I'm an architect since I graduated.
Okay.
And I've been freelancing lately, but I used to work in a firm in Jayanagar, kind of architecture and planning.
Okay.
And yeah, that's pretty much.
And before I move on, we have a special guest, Mr. Katie. What's happening?
What's up? How's it going?
Yes. So I wanted to ask, why architecture?
Why architecture? Well, it's a funny story actually. So back in 2011 or something, my current boss, I met him like back then. He was designing my house in Coog. So that's when I met. I was like pretty blanked out back then. I didn't know what to take up. And I was a science student, so engineering and medical, like none of
They were already pushing you.
Okay, yeah. So this guy gave me a idea about architecture. So I took up an exam, and I used to be good at drawing and stuff.
And did he did you absorb that from him, or was it more of like, did he tell you like fuck all that shit?
Yeah, not
get into this.
It was more like I saw like art in this field. So that's what like grabbed my attention. And like I thought like it would be more of like art in engineering, basically. So that drive me into like taking up this course.
Okay.
And like eventually I found out like it's not just that. There's a lot of technical stuff.
Technical stuff. Walk us through like the first year of like architecture. What would one expect?
Yeah, first year was actually pretty exciting. Because like it was very chill in the beginning. Like it was basic design. So we had like a lot of like they were focusing on like building our creativity basically. So like we had fun activities in our basic design subject.
Yeah.
Like probably like like building up like models sort of like things and stuff. And what do I say? Like it was more of like drawing lines and like getting
understanding
the basic
the art in it.
Yeah.
In the first year.
Yeah. So basically they push us into like understanding like the design factor, like how do we go about designing like.
Okay, that comes to my next question. How important do you think design is? How important in this world do you think design is?
I think design is very crucial and very important because like without design, like there's a lot of chaos, like unnecessary chaos that
in order to filter out all of that.
Yeah, in order to like make it and like design with functionality, that's more important. Like
utility.
A design which doesn't work is like it's not good enough.
It's not fun.
Yeah.
Right. And over the years of architecture, what else was
so
fun and difficult?
Yeah, fun and difficult. When it comes to fun, most of it was fun. It was not like other engineering branches, like where you have a lot of theoretical stuff. Like it was more practical oriented. Like our classes were mostly studios. Where you work in studio and you design in studio and like you get reviews through your professors or whatever.
Uh-huh.
And the worst part was like our deadline period, like, you know, during submissions. So I was like, I was very bad at deadlines.
Right, all of us are.
Yeah. So it was like initially, like I had to like cope up with final submission and shit. Like you know, like walking through it like was like really difficult. But eventually, I found loopholes in it, like how exactly like you go about the design and how you finish it in time. Because like the first 2 months were like really chill, like you know, you didn't really worry about deadline part. And I was like the 11th hour guy who used to work in the moment. So like,
were all your classmates like that?
Not really. I think on a scale of 1 to 10, I'd be 10.
And all the other boys are 3.
Yeah, probably like you know, like they used to be worried about like I think a month before the submission of the final submission.
Right.
And I used to start working in like the last week. So I still used to get managed.
You had friends with you too who were, or like you were alone in the game?
No. I had a few friends.
Right.
Like sink or swim scene.
Right. Good.
So yeah.
But overall, like over the years, it has been interesting.
Yeah, the end of the semester is always hectic, but otherwise it's really fun.
Right. So walk us through after what you did, after what you studied, what was next?
Well, so after what I studied, to be honest, like you know, I didn't really learn much in college. It was more like I just wanted to clear my subjects and like just get out of the scene into the actual thing. So I was really worried for my internship because like you know, like you need to have a portfolio for other firms to take you in. So I like, and if you remember, like I told you about my boss, like he told me like he won't take me in unless I work with some other firm first. Right. And like you know,
and some other firms like unless you already have experience, you don't let you.
So it was like so even after my college, I had to rework on all my previous semester's works to get a decent portfolio. And like you know, I applied to like 40 firms altogether. And
Bangalore. Right.
So even that was in the 11th hour, and so most of the firms had already taken in a lot of interns. So
and what are they looking for?
I was looking for
someone you already like apply to. What are they looking for in a fresher?
Okay, so basically they look at your internship, your portfolio, and they go through your work. So basically see what skill set you have got, like in SketchUp and and AutoCAD and all that.
And following up to that, I want to ask, like, let's say I'm interested. Okay, I'm studying my second PU and I want to know, like, I might want to do like architecture, but what do you think is more necessary for being an architecture student? Like I'm just saying, if it's fitness, you want to be physically fit. If you're like if you're in the audio engineering field, your ears must be fine tuned, right? What do you think it's part of architecture that is essential? That
that's a tricky question, because I think to be a good architect, or even for that a good architecture student, it's not like there's this myth that you need to be good at drawing.
Right.
That's just one part of it.
There you go, guys.
It's not necessary.
We've just broken a myth. Yeah.
It's not necessary for an architect to be a good artist.
You don't have to be a good artist. You have to. It is a necessity, but it's not everything.
It's helpful. It's like,
helpful.
You know, it's helpful to
So you
be good
suck at drawing. You don't.
You don't have to worry that architecture is not my thing. And apart from that, I think to be a good architect, you need to be a good observer. In terms of all aspects, like you need to like even not just visualizing things, like there are other senses which affects the architecture affects other senses as well. Like I mean, to give a picture about this, like imagine you're usually in a cafe or something which has living elements, like probably a small lake body with fishes, or an outdoor entrance like where you have like the small jellies. So when you walk, that creates a sound, right? So that you're actually interacting with the space around you.
Right.
So these things like have to be given like
it's a part of
like learning. Like you need to like connect yourself with the space around. So you need to like observe more on like the colors or like how the textures, how it feels on the skin. So all these things matter. So I think if you just have like, if you're a good observer, I think
good observer and understand how the outside world fits.
Yeah, the different perspectives.
The experience for a human, and like if you build something and for someone else to be able to feel the same way that you envisioned it to.
Yeah, that's true. And in architecture, like you don't like, everybody has their own perspective. You know? Like so. It's very important to have your own perspective about things. Like you know, one single object can be like looked into so many other ways.
In ways, perspectives. Right.
So that's like, you know, that helps you like build your own style.
And do you have any inspirations?
Oh yeah, like
in the field that whose work you gotta check out. I checked out Frank Gehry.
Yeah, Franco Gehry. He's brilliant.
Buildings are mad.
That's something else. Like that's on another level. But my personal what do I say, guru?
Yeah.
My guru's guru actually. He was Professor Jaisim, architect Jaisim. So his architecture really like, you know, affected me. Like, you know, I was really inspired by his work. In fact, I was lucky enough to meet him this year, for his birthday, and I had a small discussion with him about architecture. So his work is like really profound, you know, like he doesn't believe in the luxury of architecture, like
the utility.
The like it doesn't, you don't need marble to feel like to feel the richness of a place, you know, like so he uses very earthy materials and like, you know, he makes the place feel, and he plays with like the heights and stuff. So he has a very unique style and like of his
and
work.
You absorbed all of that from him, and it was a good talk.
I tried, does
he have a book or anything regarding?
Yeah, he does have a book. He has a book about his own journey in this architecture.
Right.
And his firm in Jayanagar, it's called Fountainhead.
Fountainhead.
Yeah, Fountainhead.
Fountainhead is a movie.
It's a movie. It's a book as well.
It's a book as well. Mark Cuban's favorite book.
So
crazy!
It's about an architect. So he was really inspired by that book.
Yeah, bro. That book is like referred to even from Mark Cuban, bro. It's like he says it's his favorite book.
Yeah. So he, it's about the ego that an architect has.
I tried reading it, but I couldn't. I couldn't get through. I couldn't understand.
It's nice. So this guy, he even named his firm Fountainhead.
Yeah.
So
that's crazy, dude.
Yeah, my boss Sunil sir, architect. He worked with him, I think almost 7-8 years ago. So and after that, like even like he built his, like he learned a lot from him. Then I got to learn a lot from my boss. So it was a cycle, you know.
And where your boss he set up at?
He set up in Jayanagar itself. The firm is called Center for Architecture and Planning.
Center for Architecture and Planning. Okay.
It's a startup.
And how was your experience?
Oh, it was brilliant.
How did you end up there?
Yeah, I was telling you, right? Like the first internship. So finally, I applied and I got in a firm called RK Associates in Indranagar. So there, the work was very what to say, like it was more like what an intern gets usually, like, you know, like drafting and detailing. So that sort of work. Groundwork. So, but whereas like when I came to, it did like help me in improvising my skills on my softwares. But the second internship I did it with my boss in Center for Architecture and Planning, and over there like it was really different. The whole work atmosphere was different. Like you know, like the responsibilities as an intern you get was what a fresh architect would get in other firms, or like, you know, like we used to handle like almost everything in a project from scratch. So in some cases we even like deal with the clients and like, you know, we used to have the meeting by ourselves.
Right, that's a good step.
Yeah, that's a good step. And like we had various projects, like, you know, like we used to, like in my previous firm I was dealing mostly with hotels and commercial projects. And interiors. Whereas in this firm, like we were diversified. Like, you know, we used to do residences, schools and hotels.
And you used to have site visits, and you were
of course, site visit was it was
I know back-end work only. You got to be at the
like it was like we used to design and we used to implement it on site, like you know, like we had to supervise, and till the work is done, like it's my headache, you know, like I'm responsible for what is happening on the site. So that was like that was a good experience.
Nice. So how does interior for commercial change from we do know what, but I want to know your view of how does it significantly differ from it being a commercial and a residential place. What are you looking at, the colors, or how does one like know?
It mostly depends on the client, but like when it comes to like if I'm gonna segregate like the commercial interiors and the residential interiors, so when I say commercial, like there are like again many types, like you know, like you can have like hotels, banks, cafes, offices,
banks.
So each of them have their own type of interiors again, like you know, like the office will have workstations, and probably cafes will have like more of like you know a chill out vibe over there.
Okay.
And residences, it totally depends on what the client wants.
Okay.
So like each one has their own taste.
Right.
So
okay,
basically like otherwise like material wise and other things, like it wouldn't differ much. Just the design wise it would differ.
So coming from your field, like okay, let's say suppose I go on the road. If you're from the field of let's say advertisement, you're gonna watch all the advertisements and you're gonna be like, oh shit, that shit sucks. Or you're gonna be like, oh fuck that. Do you do that? Do you go around and like, oh fuck, check this building out, this is fucking beautiful? Or do you always gape at buildings, and do you have that disease?
Course,
I mean, it's part of the field. Do you have that? Because I do like
definitely 100%,
observe all the time,
because
right?
See, like as I was like interning, I figured out this, that like you know, like whatever work I was working on, like for example if I was working on elevation of a building, I would see like elevations all around.
All that you see is fucking elevations
like,
around Bangalore.
Right.
So, right.
When I'm gonna like refer to Jaisim sir over here, because like so when I was talking to him, he was like, you know, like how difficult it is for him to travel around the city, like even like a 10-12 kilometer stretch, because
analysis
like,
by
he sees so much
paralysis by analysis, that is right.
He's just like,
that's crazy, dude. That's crazy. That's some next level. 1 kilometer through is like, oh fuck, oh fuck, that's nice.
So,
I think you have to just like stick with him and like be always speaking to him, right?
He's like currently not practicing. He's quite old, but like he's part of the architecture council, and he's really a very reputed architect.
Okay. Do you have any message for somebody who's about to study architecture? He's in his first year and he's like, fuck this shit.
Don't. Just kidding.
No. Sorry, that was the wrong message. I mean like now he's already paid all his shit. He has to finish it.
I think one thing what really he needs to understand is he needs to deal with the pressure.
Pressure, buddy.
That's really important, like when it comes to architecture, because after a point like you won't be handling just one project, so he needs to like and trust me, the deadlines in college is nothing. It's a joke.
Shit. So if you're listening already and if you're in first year of architecture,
you haven't seen anything.
He has a better far eagle's view from to the field, and you better listen to him.
So, and one more thing very crucial, like what I think I missed out on, like which I realized like later on was you need a good set of contacts.
Right, network,
which is really important.
So go around meeting everybody from your field.
You need to be a good at communicating with like people, because as an architect you deal with a lot of people. You deal, like first of all, like you're the mediator between what's happening on site and the client.
Right.
So you need to pass the message,
elaborately tell
to the
describe
contractors, to the laborers, and like you know, to the civil engineers. So it's basically like if you're good at like, it doesn't matter if your design is good, but if you're not able to
describe and convey what is it's far more necessary.
Yeah,
right?
That's true. So I'd say like just focus on your submissions, of course, your designs,
get your shit down.
Also, like, you know, try and like intern at the early stage. Don't wait till your internship period.
That's a big point. Like if you're already in first year, it doesn't stop you from like going an intern.
Yeah,
right?
I'd say like just work for free.
Just work for free, get around.
So that like when you reach the internship stage,
you
like
already have a big
warmed up for that.
That's exact. Don't wait for the end for fourth year, right?
Yeah.
Fourth year. 4 years?
Fifth year.
5 years. Damn. Yeah, so don't wait for 5 years. If first year already, if your uncle is an architect, just go to him and fucking speak to him already and be like help me out, right?
Yeah.
And like learn the ins and outs and be
you just have to stick around because usually firms like they don't sometimes entertain because they'll have to teach you and like they won't have
you. But I mean, if you go out for your first year already, you're
just
like,
need to like
right, you
even if you're being there as an attender or something,
if you can know how to work the coffee machine, you're welcome.
Yeah,
right,
that's true.
Right, any questions, bro? KD.
Yo, KD.
Architecture and acoustics, bro. That's what I want to know.
Oh, architecture and acoustics.
Like we have a legit question that we're very keen to know. Please.
So, architecture and acoustics is one thing that like really like interested me. Even when I was like, even my thesis which I worked on was like music in architecture. Yeah, so I designed a residential music institution.
Oh, mad. Where was this?
No, it was my thesis. So like,
sure, right.
It's still a design.
Yeah, it's still a design. So I studied about like the acoustics and how it like how the end user feels like what the surrounding around him is like in terms of acoustics. So and there is also this other interesting thing that I wanted to like figure out, like synesthesia. So synesthesia,
the ability,
where like your
senses transmute to other senses and you feel different shit or colors, taste colors.
So like I'm still like trying to research on this.
So you think music in acoustics has those properties?
100%. Like, you know, I think there's a famous proverb, like they say like architecture is frozen music.
Fuck.
Yeah, so
that's a new thing for my book, for my quote book. Architecture is
frozen music. That's deep if you actually think about it. So, you know, like imagine the same room that we are in the studio. Like if it had a double height, the entire acoustics would change. Or even if you push this like a little behind.
Right.
So like you can actually, like your design can play with people's mind.
Definitely.
So like that's why you need to focus. You need to design thinking of yourself as an end user in the place. So like I've been like trying to research on how they design the music studios and like, you know, like how different sounds can affect like different people. Like certain sounds will totally change your mood and your vibe. Like for example, if you're walking out in a park and you hear like rustling leaves, that actually like cools you down, like, you know. So
ear candy.
Ear candy. Eargasm.
Eargasms.
So if you probably like hear like waterfall from somewhere. Like if you've seen these apartments and stuff, they have
waterfalls. So that's all is part of the consumer experience.
It's the small details that like add up.
And who do you think? Global on a broader level, who do you, apart from everybody, who do you think is like more into this sort of like to get all the bells and whistles? You think about everything if you're sitting in this room, from the waterfall, or I want somebody sitting in the room to be able to listen to the chimes.
I think it would be like Franco Gehry. Yeah, definitely. And
his masterclass is crazy, bro. You gotta check it out.
Yeah, I need to check it out. I was just looking at that today. So I need to.
Fuck. So I couldn't understand. I was just like going through it and I'm like, fuck. Sham needs to see this. Right.
Yeah. And
what do you think about the buildings that he does? It's like fucking twisted, bro. Check out his shit.
Very non-conventional.
Yeah.
It's very like, you know, futuristic. I'd say modern architecture. So
what do you think about Indian architecture? I mean, the ancient, not the current one. Like say 300 years back. And how those guys have inculcated acoustics also. Because Jantar Mantar, a lot of such places I've heard like you don't need to have a mic or anything for it to be.
That's true.
Just
Like
amplification, natural.
even if you consider like one of the like in terms of acoustics, what blows my mind is Gol Gumbaz in Bijapur. It's like it's just brilliant. Like I think it was Persian architecture if I'm not wrong.
Have you gone there? I don't know.
Oh, it's a must visit. I think. Yeah, like I'm planning to visit it again.
Oh
soon
man,
because the entire dome, right? Like I mean, I'd suggest you go either early morning or like late evening because during the day, like people just keep shouting and I don't know,
and
get
acoustic
excited with the
like fucking
echoes. But the actual thing about Gol Gumbaz is it's not a place where you shout. It's a whispering gallery. So the king guy designed it in like the main purpose for
if you
designing
whisper, someone else will know what you
yeah, so it's a huge it's a very huge building, right? It's very huge in terms of scale. So like if the king like when the king wanted to communicate like from one end to the other, he
fuck,
just, like, whisper on the wall and
no
like,
bitching on the king.
Yeah.
The king will
The reflections were just
yeah, so that's that. So I think like
similar thing I've seen one in Red Fort also, bro. So apparently there's a room in Red Fort with full of mirrors, okay? So you can light up the entire room with just a candle.
wow.
Fuck, that's
so one
like
candle and it's just
that's like
reflecting all
amplification
over.
for light.
Yeah. The
Compressor
same
for light.
That is intense.
thing. Some crazy shit, yeah. So back then I guess Mughals and even Cheras in South.
Yeah, more Dravidians.
Yeah, they were much more into architecture, right? Architecture, yeah.
Attention to detail.
Attention to it.
Meenakshi Amman temple in Madurai.
Yeah, that
They have those pillars. You go and tap, you get harmonics like C.
Fuck.
One pillar is D. So there are 1,000 pillars with like each has its own different. Yeah.
Fuck.
There's a lot of shit, bro.
Gotta sample that.
Even like in North India, I went to this fort. Okay, so if you see from the front, it looks like it's 2 floors. Okay. Go from the sides, it looks like it's 3 floors. Go in the back and see it's 4 floors.
Where is this, bro?
Bro, it's in Agra or something. My dad took me. Yeah, some psych building, bro. So, like, the thing is, it's lakefront, okay?
How do you do that, bro? Give us some
that's why
diagnosis on this.
Maybe it's all different elevation from front. It's just like 2 floors. To the side, maybe there's
school
an
had
extra
that
floor.
shit.
Yeah, that's
Some shit, bro.
That's some complex.
Our college had that shit.
Yeah, I remember studying that in my history of architecture.
Yeah.
But like I honestly don't remember the details.
History
and
is what
stuff.
fucks you.
Yeah. History of architecture, like it was always like I don't know. I found it.
Do you have anything to study regarding that in college?
Like we had like I think 4 semesters like where we had history
just
of
like M1,
architecture.
M2, M3, M4, they have
H1.
they have that
so
too.
early mornings, Monday morning, first hour was history, man.
Yeah.
It
Gotta sleep.
Yeah, gotta sleep.
Right. What else do we speak about?
Yo, let's talk about how he's a rapper as well.
Yeah, bro. Definitely.
It's a side project.
We'll slowly transition into that scene.
That's
Anything regarding to architecture you ever wanted to ask about you? About architecture? No. You, bro?
I think we got the main scenes.
Any good books on architecture? Any good YouTube channel on architecture?
Honestly, like
any
Instagram pages.
IG pages, yeah. Any hot IG pages?
There's too many, like I can't think of any right now. Like,
That's all, bro. I think his Instagram feed would be probably full of buildings. Like mine is
legit
full of preamps and cables.
Yeah.
Window panes and glasses, doors and all that.
There's some weird architects out there, man. Like,
so where, according to you, is the best scene happening all over the world? The best buildings and the best architects right now are.
Okay. I think
where the scene is killing right now.
Scene killing, I'd say, like over the past few years, I'd say Qatar, man.
Yeah,
Qatar has been like killing it in architecture. Like, I mean, you know about the FIFA that's coming up over there, and like they're building some intense stadiums, and like too many buildings coming up, like, and each one has its own twist. I think it's brilliant out there.
Yeah.
But other than that, I think even like Europe is doing pretty good. And
what about India?
Even America for that.
Do
India
you
has its own like different aspect in terms of architecture. Like, you know, we can't imitate their buildings.
Right.
Like,
Has its own charm.
geographical conditions.
Talk us a bit about that. How does geography like?
It does
with,
matter a lot because I think buildings should always be built in with respect to the site conditions. You can't just do a fancy building that they've done in like
somewhere else.
Yeah,
Paris,
some Gulf country or like US or whatever.
Right.
So like when we directly interpret their like designs over here, I don't think it would like match because see, like we live in a tropical conditioned area, and I'm totally like not happy with the glass buildings that we build because you build a glass building and then like for ventilation you need ACs inside. So whereas like if you like design it with proper ventilation, you don't need glass or like the AC units, like you know, like so I think
the materials like
the materials
and
like for our geography I think my firm basically like they are into like clay blocks and like even for like when we use the ceiling, like we use filler blocks like clay pots or like something like that. So you know, like where we cut down on the overall budget and like it's still like, you know.
Okay. Talk to me about like now they do have normal structures and there's something called as temporary structures, right? In Bangalore, what they're building. Temporary as in it's the truss, I guess it's the truss or something like that. It's different from the basic generic ones.
Yeah, I think
how does that work out? These are made out of like different temporary. They last only for 10 years or something like that, I guess.
Okay, I'm not really sure about that thing. Because like I haven't really dealt with temporary
probably now if you go out,
if
you see all the buildings, you can see the ones which are like have
the temporary
solid
ones.
Right?
Like I think they use steel as well, like for temporary structures in certain cases.
Right.
But me personally, I haven't like really designed a temporary.
What about the cost of building, let's say, a place in Bangalore, like if it's just like 100 square feet or something like that? What do I look for?
The construction cost?
The construction cost. I also want you to talk about like the, what do you call, the sourcing of it? The what do they call, procurement of like this one? Do we? I see a lot of people get everything from North India. Right, on all the timber and all the
timber, the tiles,
the faucets, the tiles, exactly.
Materials.
So like
because like
how do you go about
like the supplies
all
are
from
like
Gujarat,
all coming from there. So like if you're getting it directly from the source, your budget like drastically reduces.
Because I have a friend
from the
Ram who says like from Africa there's a lot of different things, new technology and like everything which is like a bit more efficient.
In terms of technology, I'd say like they're way more ahead. Like,
so do you think I can cut down the cost of building a place here by just like, you know, getting to Africa and where all the modern tech, because as far as what my friend told me, like they're killing it. Like buildings have become better and better because they have moved ahead of the curve and they're doing everything sustainable and like all that stuff here. So you think the cost of the building can be reduced here by just...
Definitely, it can be reduced if you're talking in terms of materials. Like if you're getting it from the source, like which is very which is working out reasonable for you, it definitely like can be cut down. And like when I say like, but like there are things like transportation charges for probably a small project that wouldn't like work out because like it wouldn't make much difference.
So better off to source it nearby.
So it depends on like what kind of materials you're using for a particular project. So
okay.
Bro, best design building in Bangalore, bro.
In Bangalore, I haven't really thought of it.
At the top of your head, probably. It's just like, oh fuck.
Yeah, the most fascinating
Vidhan Sauda.
Vidhan Sauda sucks.
Vidhan Sauda.
Burn!
Okay.
No shade to the boys inside. Yeah.
Which one would I say? Like, give me some of the names.
UB City.
And
Utility.
What's it?
shit, I had my project like for my 6th sem. I had to like demolish utility and build a skyscraper there.
Oh, crazy. Okay.
But I think on top of the head, if I'd really say, I think one must visit Jason sir's office itself.
Office, yeah?
Yeah, it's just
Design crazy.
it's very unique. So one thing particularly like I really liked there was like he's built a wall out of sand. It's still a mystery. I don't know how he did it. And he has like a lot of levels. Like once you enter, you don't know like where to go. Like you know exactly. So it's like it's in a curve like on the road. Like so the entire.
But it still leads you.
Yeah.
But you don't stray basically. But it still tells you intuitively to where to go.
Yeah.
Huh?
He has his like the place where it chills like underground and stuff. So
Fuck,
it's like,
so
it's
we
really
gotta
cool.
check out.
Yeah.
Please do take us there.
Where's his office?
Definitely, it's in Jayanagar.
Jayanagar?
Yeah.
Right. Or we'll probably try getting him over, or we'll go with the mic. Yeah. Right. So yeah.
Mom's calling.
Sure. We'll edit the shit out.
It's cool, bro.
Yeah.
Mom's calls are.
It's a podcast.
Yeah. So, bro, Sakshat, how's it going?
Good, bro.
What do you think?
Had a good session.
You had a good.
Having a good session.
You're done with your dinner and all?
Yeah. Definitely. Not yet.
Need a podcast about Bangalore traffic one day.
We'll get to that.
Bangalore traffic in Bangalore traffic.
Okay, wait.
Bangalore traffic.
I'll clap this in.
That's true.
Yeah, now talk about Bangalore traffic.
Oh, I don't.
Now
want
let's slowly transition into Bangalore.
What can you do to prevent the
prevent it.
Any
stop
solutions?
this from spreading?
Any suggestions?
I think the solution lies.
Helicopters,
No,
human drones,
Helicopters already happening though.
I think public transport too.
public transport.
Like how many of us use like
I-
public transport
Me,
here?
I sometimes do.
Sometimes, yeah.
Because already everybody's there.
Yeah.
Now I can't anymore. No, but I want to ask, what about AI in architecture?
Artificial intelligence, yeah, that's already taken over like in a lot of places.
You
like,
guys use it
we have ready-made buildings like where the robot comes and like, it just builds it.
I've seen the one in
there's a
China,
machine.
bro. Like over a week or something, they
Yeah,
fucking
80
built.
floors.
Yeah. How do you fucking do that?
Have you seen that time lapse, bro?
Have you seen that time lapse?
80 floor building.
80 floor, bro. They just built it out of fucking.
Yeah.
Just ready-made slabs. Just
I
all
think
put together.
precast slabs.
Precast.
3D
Yeah.
printing.
Planned
What do you
everything,
think about 3D printing?
Yeah, I was talking about 3D printing. So like there's this machine, you just feed the design to it. and
It fucking
just,
goes like
starts-
this, right? Yeah. So
yeah.
like,
Seen that.
how far are we from it being normal here?
Quite far.
Quite far.
People should accept that kind of a lifestyle, bro.
Yeah.
I think people
No, but
are
if it's
used to
built
having
by
big
a
houses.
guy or if it's built by a
Yeah.
robot, I'll live in it.
Like see, like we're quite far because like I think 50 to 60% of the people like don't even approach an architect when they're building.
Yeah, for sure.
So
Yeah?
that's one major issue over here.
What
Like
is it?
like most of these buildings, what you see
I thought
around here,
For law issues, I'll go to a lawyer. If it's a building, I'll go to
you're supposed to go to an architect,
Yeah.
but like they see in India, I think architect is more of a luxury.
Luxury.
It's a privilege, like you know, where like
But you need your building, dude.
they don't understand that. Like, you know, you might be like they hesitate to pay the architect's
Yeah.
fee, but then like if you think about it, you're saving it.
Yeah, on all the
saving a
other
lot in
ends,
all
on the
other
longer
aspects,
end.
But yeah, they don't see it in that way.
Right,
like, you
right.
know.
That's
just
what we're
like
trying
In
to
most
do.
cases, I think like
These
the
days it's on
contractors like are
autopilot.
doing the
Yeah.
drawings.
Yeah.
So that's what we're trying to do, is spreading some awareness. Hire your architects. Get well-designed buildings that you already
Yeah,
know.
please do.
But if you are the guy who's not, please, let's do something about it.
Yeah.
Bro, tell them.
Yeah.
I'll drop. Get your damn architect, Nix.
Drop my number and mail ID.
Yeah.
Like in the end.
Please do. Right, also, Bangalore traffic.
Bangalore traffic, man. Shit, like, let's not talk about it.
Okay, we'll move to something
Getting
else. Right, which is the hottest place in Bangalore right now? These are like template questions we ask everybody's
What
Alright.
is happening?
happening place in
yeah.
Bangalore.
Happening, I'd say like happening would be like socials and shit.
Socials, yeah?
Yeah,
Huh.
or like even like That side, like it's always happening. And even I think Indranagar, it's always happening.
Any place apart from the full place?
See,
in specific? Nothing like that. No, it's just the full place, the full vibe.
I'm not more of a like a party guy.
Party
like,
scene.
I don't like.
Right.
I'm more of.
But still, if you like
party guy.
skating, where's the best place to skate in Bangalore? That's also a hot place.
Skate, oh?
No, I'm just kidding, bro. I'm just asking. Hey, whatever interests you on a weekend, like I'm just saying that. Right. What? Any festival again? You don't go. You don't do parties, but still, any music that you listen to that's been good.
Oh yeah, lately I think
Alpha Mist.
Alpha Mist.
Killing it, the jazz scene.
They're just there, man, and I'm really excited about the new album that's Tame Impala's.
Tame Impala is also releasing.
So, other than that, I've been listening to a lot of techno, man, like Richie Houghton.
Everything. We are moving into the techno phase. Bangalore's under heavy techno disease. Yeah.
Otherwise, like lo-fi keeps me going. Like
lo-fi is for when you wake up and just like moving.
I'll
just blast techno straight away.
When I don't know what to play, I just play.
Just lo-fi and think what to play.
Chill beats.
Chill beats.
Sai is always there
at the back end. Right.
Yeah.
And so you planning to do any masters or something?
You don't want to study abroad or something?
Oh yeah, so masters, man. I'm back to that portfolio shit again. So
got to build that shit up.
Yeah, so I'm planning to do my masters next year, hopefully. So I need to like redo my whole portfolio again, like bring it up to their standard. So this time, like it's easier for me because like I can put in a lot of practical work that I've done.
Right.
In my form and other than
where
that,
do you want
like,
to study if it's outside?
So yeah, mostly abroad. Like I'm hoping to study in Europe.
Peaceful, good scenes.
So yeah, one of the countries there. Not like really.
Right.
Netherlands, bro.
Okay, Netherlands, yeah.
Netherlands, bro.
That's a good option. Keeping like there's some good colleges in UK as well. But other than that, I think Canada is also peaceful.
Right. So apart from being completely into architecture and like like actively in that, what else takes up your time in a week?
Yeah, I'm mostly into either music or like I draw.
Yeah.
In my free time. And that I freelance. So I've been like working in a service apartment. I think I spoke about it recently. So.
And give us a bit about your experience if somebody wants to like take care of a service apartment, and what are the bits and pieces that go together in making sure like a service apartment works. Firstly, where is this, and give us a bit of detail.
Basically my family is like we are hoteliers in Coorg. So we have a hotel there, but like I didn't really have an experience of like working in this field, the service field.
Right.
So when I started out like recently 6 months back, I was totally new to this field. So I had to learn a lot about this field basically. So
that's very good. You're like
I'm trying to
move
like
and learn exactly
more than just
definitely. And you can have your input of the architecture into whatever you move into, right? Too.
So when I initially went. That place, it's in Kasturi Nagar, you can check it up. It's Caravan Service Apartment, and it's a small place. It has like 11 rooms. So like there are 3 categories, like there's single, double and triple room.
Right.
And like one's bigger than the other one.
Right.
So
day to day.
Yeah. So like
what is most of your thing taking care of?
Yeah, so I basically run the overall thing like over there, the supervision part. So like.
And how has it been? How's the journey?
Oh, it was good. Like it was a new experience.
New experience,
so, like,
worth the experience.
Like it was a business.
Right, and something worth valuable that you can like take forward.
I get to meet a lot of people as well.
Definitely, and understand the service field and speak, and a bit of like
that's
speaking, communication and all that, right?
We have like the clients what we get there are like usually I think I could break them down into like 3 categories. Like one would be the local officers which they have there. They send down their
okay
the guys who work there. So like they usually take up like 4 to 5 rooms. We have a regular guest regulars. And apart from that, like we have the local residential people like, who come there. Like there's an old age home and there are a lot of like wedding halls there.
Right.
So they take up like they book once and for all like all 11 rooms.
Definitely,
like,
that's a good. So location matters.
Location matters definitely. And other than that, we have this walk-in guests, like regular who check up on online like
and
travelers
come
or
through.
like for business.
Is it a good business? Service apartment, it's worth the work.
Yeah, it's worth the work definitely, because see, like usually as a client, like from client's point of view, like what we see is like they need a good legit stay, like neat and clean
and working.
Working. Other than that, like we focus a lot on the service to the client,
right?
Like once they are into the building, like we make sure, like like everything is like
and
they
you
look
personally
after.
speak to them.
Personally speak to them.
That's very good.
Yeah, so what happens is like like I forgot what I was going to say.
No, like you speaking like to everybody who comes through, you speak to them, and you make sure like they are like all right.
Yeah, all right. So basically, like what do I say, like the initially, like as an architect's point of view, like I like try to renovate the overall place in the ground floor, because like initially there was like a dining hall and a small reception and a kitchen, so it was all like walls. So when a guest came, like one thing the drawback what I saw was initially the clients usually they stay in rooms. So if they go out, they finish, they come back end of the day, like they come back to the room and they didn't have any place to chill over there other than their rooms. Like they had to come
definitely
around,
a lounge kind of a thing.
The lounge kind of a thing. So I put up this idea to my owner, like like to
they do complain.
To just change this entire thing, renovate it. So right now, like there's like a lounge area and an open kitchen. So like the guests can come, they can interact with the space. Like they can come, like fix themselves for coffee.
Right.
Probably make an omelette and a toast. Yeah. So they can just chill there, and there's like you can chill there and like read books.
Right.
So that sort of a thing is what I was focusing on. Like other than just a regular lodging kind of a
exactly
thing.
So you get like a different end of the consumer experience where you're looking and to be able to understand like the pain points of the customers who's coming through and be like, okay, they do need like a place to chill, not only like if the room is good, like somewhere they do need to come out and like recline and just chill back with
definitely.
And you give them those suggestions where if they want to go around or if they want to do
definitely we take care of their travel around the city as well if they need anything.
Definitely.
So we hook them up.
Do you think there is an important aspect that most of the people just overlook and say that's not our job?
It's very important to give the all kinds of service
experience and the complete
guest comes, like some guests like want food from outside, so we make sure we get it delivered apart if they don't, so we get like from the local restaurants around. Otherwise like even if they wanna go around like basically if a client comes, like they don't have to worry about anything. Like like,
and that's the way it must be set up.
That's the way it must be set up. So once the guest comes, like we make sure that it comes back to us again.
Definitely. Okay, let's move to rapping. Give us a bit about your inspiration in rapping,
man. Like I've been...
You do rap, you're already at a studio, bro. What the hell?
I'll give you a bar. Spit some.
Some of my
Who do you look up to?
See, I was like I loved hip-hop from when I was a kid. Eminem, of course.
Right. Amen.
Yeah. But I started like writing, like the lyricism started like in college, like when I'm very late actually, like very recently, like when I was in my third year or something. Like when me and the boys used to chill, like just like randomly
throw some loops.
Funny
hey bro, that was too hard. Oh fuck.
Yeah.
Dudes, everybody's dead here, bro.
So and that
pull it out, hey, bro.
It's too loud, is it?
Peaking here, bro.
Hello.
Hey bro, don't loop it. Okay. So would you want to throw some bars, spit some bars?
Okay, let me see what I got.
Such was a nice hip hop loop, bro.
I'll play it on YouTube and keep it next to the mic only. So there's feedback and all I can.
Go for it.
fuck.
Oh, old school. Dope.
Yeah.
All that.
Drink the purple drink.
Check it out. Yeah. Yeah. This is zone of assassin, you gotta enter with caution. As I close in the coffin of anybody that's rapping, it's an instant crime. I don't use internet often, I don't Instagram or Snapchat till I tap the but I'll Instagram. Keep up as I go faster with an instant crime. I am an intellect rapping, this is intellect jargon, and I'm ignorant of men. So either you leave now or I leave you no option. There will be no stopping, I'm popping ecstasy pills. I'm getting extra refills, cause I'm getting extra refills, cause my ink is exhausting. Writing with a pencil as I enter the dragon like Bruce Lee. You will see there is no interaction. Yeah, this is rigor mortis like apocalypse strike. Yeah, illusion of optics when I'm on the fucking mic. Yeah, lyric is so obvious. Oh, yeah. Time to waste, it's time to taste my rhymes in haste. But at times it tastes like a word paste on a toothbrush for a guy who is toothless, so ruthless. As a waste in a fast pace, saw his blank face, he was clueless. Yeah, let me put some beers. Alright. Check it out. Alright. It's time to make some moves. Set my foot close, wear my shoes, pay my dues and get some fame on news. I'm new to the game, but I'll stick my name with clues. I don't. Let me introduce to the lens. Fuck, I'm forgetting the lyrics.
That's amazing, brah. On mic ready madapa na ಹುಡುಗನ್ಗೆ track ಮಾಡ್ಬಿಡಿ.
Like freestyle,
bro.
Damn cool, bro. Damn
Peaceful, bro. All you producers out there, you have a rapper.
Slack
Before
up
that
some
only,
new bars are
we're gonna produce one track with him. Don't worry.
These are some really old ones.
Hey, bro, that's good shit, bro.
This is
Definitely.
is not good shit. So
What's
Hey,
your artist
bro.
name?
Ethos.
Ethos, bro.
Ethos.
Don't worry, we'll produce. We'll do production for you.
Bro. I've been like talking to KD about
Hook
this
the
for a
mic
long
up.
time.
Yeah, bro,
I'm just
definitely.
not, KD is ready. I'm just not ready yet. You know, like I need some.
What do you say? You're ready, bro? That was fire.
Yeah, people have been telling that.
Yeah, nigga.
He already split the bars. It's out there.
OG, bro.
Yeah, it's there, bro.
Let's do something, huh?
So,
For sure.
Next time,
wind
bro. Yeah. No, we will wind up. Any pop questions?
bro, that this
Anything.
thing, bro. What pops in your head when I say this 5 things? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna say random. 5
Interesting.
things. You're gonna say what's popping in your head.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Anything off the top of your head?
Music.
Music. Pink Floyd.
Thing.
Bangalore.
Bangalore. Kaban Park.
Food.
Food. Biryani, bro.
Left my keys at home. Oh shit.
What?
That's the answer.
Oh shit. Here we go again.
Yeah. Cars.
Cars, Contessa.
Oh
Man.
man. I saw a sweet concert today, bro.
Oh.
So they had trimmed out like the entire thing that lifted up with proper alloy wheels.
Fuck.
Dude,
But the
that's
thing
my
they fucked
dream.
up was that the engine was still the same, okay? So it all looked pimped out from the outside.
But it's like
Inside
I'm struggling.
That's pointless, bro.
Totally imagine.
Okay. Food.
I told that.
Oh, biryani.
Yo, you saw Bangalore, bro.
Hangout, bro.
He just dropped.
Hangout.
Hangout. My cousin's place.
Cousin's place. Architecture.
Yeah, architecture.
That's the word,
Oh,
nigga.
that's
Yeah, so architecture.
architecture.
Work.
Yeah. What?
Why am I feeling it?
Yeah.
You're getting in his head.
Okay. So that's the end of the episode.
Oh,
Thank you, Mr. Sham.
thanks for having
coming
me.
over.
It was
Your
great.
Instagram handle
And
and
if
your,
people want to reach out to you, where do they find you?
and if you have a work-related separate email ID or
Email?
something.
No, IG
Yeah.
would do.
Yeah, I am an IG account. Like, do I?
Your handle?
Ethash.
Sham. No.
Yeah, it's Ethash 08 ETHASH _08.
Yeah, there you go, guys. And that's the end of the episode. And I want to do a shout out for Jam Room for hooking us up with a place.
Jam, room.
Yeah. And it's a very good place. So if you guys want to come over to Kalyan Nagar Jam Room and call our boy Akshat. He's always ready to hook you up with vocal recordings and all the tasty stuff. See you guys. Take care.
Bye. Sign out.
That's a wrap. Oh, and also thank you for our special guest, Katie.
Katie
Who should speak more the next time. Probably we'll get him around. Yeah. Thank you.
Production related episode.
Yeah, definitely. See you, niggas.
Good night.
Please speak much about